$300,000 salary in Switzerland sounds like you've made it, until you realize the canton you chose just cost you $100,000 in taxes you didn't expect. I'm talking about the kind of financial mistake that happens invisibly. You accept a lucrative role at a Zurich bank or tech company. The salary looks incredible, you do the math, and then reality hits during tax season. The government took more than you planned, and by then you've already committed to a 3-year contract in the wrong canton. Today we're breaking down the Swiss tax bracket collapse that catches 6-figure earners every single year, and I'm going to show you exactly where the money goes and where it doesn't have to. Let's start with the shocking part. Switzerland doesn't have one tax system. It has 26 different tax systems, one for each canton. And the difference between Zurich and Zug isn't just geography. It's $100,000 per year. Here's what most people don't understand about Swiss taxation. When you earn CHF 300,000, about $330,000 USD, you're already in the top 1% of Swiss earners. You're doing better than 99% of the population. So the tax system should theoretically celebrate that, right? Instead, it punishes you, progressively. And then it punishes you again based on where you live. Let me show you the math. In Zurich, one of the world's most expensive cities and a major employment hub, a CHF 300,000 salary gets hit with federal income tax roughly 5% on the top bracket cantonal income tax, 21% on the top bracket municipal tax, another 7-8% church tax, yes. This is real, 2-3% social security contributions. 35%, that's not a tax rate, that's a tax massacre. When you add all of that up, you're losing roughly 57-61% of your marginal income. On a CHF 300,000 salary, you're keeping maybe CHF 117,000-130,000 in take-home pay. Everything else goes to the state, the church, or the canton government. But here's where it gets worse. Move 30 kilometers south to Zug, literally the same country, same federal regulations, and the entire calculation changes. In Zug, federal income tax 5% cantonal income tax, 9% municipal tax, 3-4% church tax, 28% optional social security, 35% your effective marginal tax rate just dropped from 57% to around 35-38%. That's not a minor difference. That's a CHF 60,000-75,000 annual swing. On a $300,000 salary, this is why Zug exists. This is why it's become the unofficial capital of wealth in Switzerland. It's not just the scenery. It's the mathematics of not being destroyed by taxes. But and this is crucial, most people can't just move to Zug. There are rules. You can't live in Zug unless you have employment there or specific residency status. Many cantons have residency restrictions, and even if you can move, you need CHF 100,000-200,000 in liquid assets just to qualify. So Zug works perfectly for a select few. For everyone else earning CHF 300,000 in Zurich, Bern, or Basel, they're stuck in the high-tax reality. Which brings us to the second trap, the progressive tax cliff. Swiss tax brackets are dramatically progressive, and they are different in every canton. What most high earners miss is that the jump in tax liability between CHF 250,000 and CHF 300,000 is not linear. It's exponential. Say you're earning CHF 250,000 in Zurich. Your effective tax rate is roughly 48-50%. You're keeping CHF 125,000-130,000. Now your company gives you a CHF 50,000 raise. Great, right? Wrong. That additional CHF 50,000 gets taxed at the marginal rate of 57-61%. So the raise that looked like CHF 50,000 actually nets you CHF 20,000-22,000. You just got a 20% raise that felt like a 4% raise in your bank account. This is the bracket trap, and it compounds if you have bonus income or stock options. A CHF 100,000 bonus in a high-earning year doesn't net CHF 100,000. It nets CHF 40,000-45,000. The rest is tax. Now here's the third mistake, hidden canton and municipal taxes. Federal income tax is straightforward, everyone knows about it, but cantonal and municipal taxes are where the real damage happens, and most people don't budget for them because they're not obvious on a salary offer. Baselstadt has a municipal surcharge that effectively adds 8-10% to your cantonal tax. Vaud has wealth taxes on top of income taxes. Valais has different rates for residents versus non-residents. These aren't footnotes. These are CHF 15,000-30,000 annual decisions. Then there's church tax. Yes, in Switzerland, if you belong to a registered church, Catholic, Protestant, Orthodox, the government literally collects a tax on your behalf and sends it to your church. In some cantons, this is 2-3% of your taxable income. On CHF 300,000, that's CHF 6,000-9,000 annually, for something you might not even want. You can opt out, but most people don't know about it, so they pay years of church tax before they realize it was optional. The fourth mistake is not accounting for wealth tax. Switzerland eliminated federal wealth tax in 2017, but some cantons still have it. VOD. Valais, Neuchâtel, Jura, and a few others tax your total wealth annually. If you have CHF 3-5 million in assets and earn CHF 300,000 per year, you're paying both income tax and wealth tax simultaneously. On CHF 4 million in assets at a 0.3% wealth tax rate in VOD, that's CHF 12,000 per year just for existing. Combine that with income tax, and you're paying tax on income and tax on the wealth that income created. It's double taxation at its finest. So let's calculate what a real CHF 300,000 salary actually nets in different cantons. Zurich, CHF 120,000-130,000 take home, 40% effective rate after all deductions. Bern, CHF 128,000-135,000, 45% effective rate, slightly better than Zurich's Zug. CHF 185,000-195,000, 35% effective rate VOD. CHF 115,000-125,000, 58% effective rate, including wealth tax Baselstat. CHF 118,000-128,000, 57% effective rate. Your canton choice just determined whether you keep CHF 120,000 or CHF 190,000 of your CHF 300,000 salary. That's a CHF 70,000 annual difference. Over 10 years, CHF 700,000. Over 20 years, assuming salary growth, you're talking CHF 1.5-2 million in additional wealth lost to cantonal location choice. So what's the move if you're earning at this level? You need to do three things. First, negotiate your job location with tax optimization in mind. If your employer has offices in multiple cantons, working from Zug or Schwyz 1 or 2 days per week can change your tax residency. It's not guaranteed, but it's worth exploring. Second, understand your canton's tax brackets before you move. Use a tax calculator, hire a tax advisor. CHF 2000-5,000 in tax planning advice can save you CHF 50,000 plus annually. That's an 10x return on investment. Third, optimize for non-salary income. If you're earning CHF 300,000 in salary, structure additional income, consulting, board positions, equity grants in lower tax cantons where possible. Fourth, track your wealth tax exposure. If you're building assets, understand whether your canton taxes wealth. If it does, you might want to consider moving before you hit CHF 2-3 million in net worth. The real trap isn't Swiss taxes themselves. Switzerland's top marginal rates are actually reasonable compared to Scandinavia or California. The trap is the complexity, the invisible difference between cantons, the progressive brackets that punish success, and the fact that nobody tells you about it until you've already committed. You can be earning CHF 300,000, one of the best salaries on earth, and still get financially wrecked by a cantonal tax mistake. And that's exactly what happens to high earners who don't plan ahead. The difference between getting rich in Switzerland and getting rich despite Switzerland is nothing more than knowing these numbers before you sign the contract.